In his garage, Charlie is fixing up a small plane that his wife Sarah gave him for his birthday. Sarah walks in and tells him she's about to leave for a business trip to London. She asks him to come along again, but Charlie says no, he has too much work to do. Later, Charlie arrives at CIA headquarters. As he heads to the decryption and analysis department, he passes through security checkpoints, systems he actually helped design. Once he gets to his office, he receives a message from someone called Inquiline, a mysterious contact he's been talking to for years. Inquiline has more secret information to sell, but this time warns Charlie that it's dangerous and could put the CIA in serious trouble. Charlie guesses they're in Istanbul, but Inquiline ignores the question. Charlie starts going through the new data, but the code is too complex, even for someone as smart as him. After his lunch break, Sarah calls from London to say she's arrived. Charlie already knows. He's been tracking her phone. They don't talk long. Charlie is eager to get back to the documents. Since he still can't solve the code, Charlie takes his laptop to a high-security area where more advanced tech helps him speed things up. After a while, he finally unlocks the files, and what he sees shocks him. The documents reveal that a drone strike was made to look like a suicide bombing. It was all hidden from the public. News clips show that 150 people died, including members of the French Special Forces and Danish Marines. Charlie finds out the person behind the whole thing is Chief Moore, his own boss. That night, Charlie tries to call Sarah, but she doesn't pick up. He leaves a voicemail. The next day, when Charlie gets to work, he's surprised to see Moore waiting for him. Moore takes him to see O'Brien, who just became the new director. She tells Charlie there's been a terrorist attack at a hotel in London, and that Sarah was one of the victims. Charlie can't believe it. He asks to call Sarah, but instead, Moore turns on the news. The reporter says 4 armed men stormed the hotel, took 4 hostages, and killed 2 of them. Moore also shows Charlie the hotel's security footage. It clearly shows the chaos inside and confirms that Sarah was killed. When Charlie goes home, the street is packed with reporters. Police are trying to hold them back. A friend helps Charlie get into the house without being noticed. The next day, Charlie questions Moore and Supervisor Caleb. He finds the whole thing suspicious. How did the attackers avoid all the security cameras in a city like London? How did they drive around in traffic without being tracked? Moore says the investigation is ongoing, but Caleb tells Charlie to take some time off. Later, Charlie goes to the airport to receive Sarah's body and personal items. Back at home, he opens her suitcase and finds a present she had bought for him. Seeing it breaks him emotionally. Not wanting to stay home anymore, Charlie returns to work. Using the high-security system, he hacks into the hotel's security feeds and nearby street cameras. He puts all the footage together and builds a full timeline of what happened. Then he shows it to his bosses. It turns out the 4 attackers stole a car in the East End and used a service entrance to enter the hotel. They wiped out all fingerprints and traces. It also looks like they had a planned meeting with a group called Impact Investments from Indonesia. But something went wrong, and a fight broke out in the hallway. One of the firm's security guards got angry, so one of the terrorists pulled out a gun and opened fire. He killed one guard and badly injured the other. The hotel's security team quickly found out and called the police. Wanting to escape before getting caught, the terrorists rushed into a conference room and took several people as hostages. Sarah was captured because she tried to help some guests run away. Charlie runs voice and face recognition tests and is able to identify all 4 attackers. They are Mishka from Moscow, a man named Lawrence who used to be in South African Special Forces, a hired soldier called Horst, and Gretchen, a former intelligence agent. But when Charlie shares this information, he notices that Moore and Caleb don't seem surprised. That's when he realizes they already knew. They tell him they're handling the situation and suggest he see a therapist. The next day, Charlie hides a small chip in his ID badge. He gets past security without it being detected. Once in his office, he prints out all the top-secret files. He also uses a hidden skimmer on the printer to make a digital copy of everything. That night, Charlie goes to a bar. He sits quietly, staring at a jukebox, clearly stressed. The next morning, he faces Moore and Caleb again. This time, he shows them the printed files and starts listing all the secret missions Moore has done, like bombing a hospital in Syria and attacking a friendly base in Yemen, which caused many civilian deaths. Charlie tells them he's set up a dead man's switch. If he doesn't enter a special code every 5 hours, the evidence will automatically go to major news channels. He demands full CIA training, fake identities, money, a weapon, and all the information they have on the people who killed Sarah. After the tense meeting, Charlie goes back to his car and throws up. The pressure is getting to him. Meanwhile, Moore tells Caleb that she thinks Charlie is bluffing about the dead man's switch, but Caleb warns they can't take that chance. If it's real, they're in trouble. If it's fake, They'll find it, and then plan a way to quietly get rid of him, maybe during training. Later, Caleb and his team try to figure out how Charlie copied the files. They talk about the use of a skimmer. While it wouldn't work on their secure computers, it might have worked on a printer. They guess Charlie probably sent the documents to the printer and used a magnetic strip to secretly copy the data. After checking security footage, the team confirms that Charlie bought a magnetic strip from a local store. Still, they can't figure out how he got it into or out of the CIA building without being noticed. The agents also search Charlie's home and later find out he visited the same bar twice. They head to that bar to investigate and find an ABBA CD hidden under the jukebox. Caleb selects that CD from the jukebox menu, but only loud static plays. They remove the CD, realizing Charlie left it there on purpose. Meanwhile, Charlie arrives at a CIA training facility where Colonel Henderson welcomes him. They start with target practice at the shooting range, but Charlie struggles. He can only hit the target when he stands very close. But when it comes to building explosives, Charlie works quickly and impresses Henderson with his skills. Next, Charlie has to memorize his new identity. To make sure he can remember it under stress, Henderson pushes him around and yells at him. Charlie still manages to recite all the information correctly. Later, he gets his fake passports made. That night, Henderson visits Charlie in his room. He tells Charlie that he's not really a killer, but Charlie says he wants justice. Henderson gives Charlie a gun and asks him to point it at his chest. Charlie's hands shake, and after a moment, he lowers the gun. Back at CIA headquarters, the agents spend hours trying to unlock the data from the CD they found at the bar. Eventually, they figure out that Charlie lied. There is no dead man's switch. They quickly report this to their higher-ups, not realizing that Charlie is listening to them. The chip hidden in Charlie's badge was actually a spy bug he planted in the files he handed over. As soon as Moore finds out, she calls Henderson and tells him to arrest Charlie, but it's too late. Charlie is already gone. After the call, Moore finally notices the bug and speaks directly to Charlie through it, warning him that what he's doing is considered betrayal. Charlie takes out his earpiece and throws it away before boarding a flight. When Charlie lands in London, he passes through customs without issue and continues on to Paris. However, his fake passport shows up in the CIA system, and Moore sends Henderson to go after him. In Paris, Charlie checks into a hotel near a restaurant where Gretchen is known to hang out. Eventually, she appears. She gets close enough for Charlie to begin tracking her phone. Charlie spends the whole day outside Gretchen's apartment building, waiting for her to leave. When another resident walks out, Charlie takes the chance to slip inside. He uses an online tutorial to unlock Gretchen's door and sneaks into her apartment. He starts searching the place and takes pictures of her schedule. In one of the drawers, he finds a gun and decides to take it. Just then, his tracker alerts him that Gretchen is returning. He hurries to hide in the stairwell and waits for her, but when she walks in, he freezes. He can't bring himself to shoot. Frustrated and disappointed, he runs back to the hotel and imagines Sarah waiting for him there. After calming down, Charlie looks closely at the photos he took and sees that Gretchen has been visiting the hospital often. He hacks into her medical records and learns that she has severe allergies. The next day, Charlie buys a large number of flowers and waits at a cafe until he sees Gretchen. He follows her to the hospital. During her checkup, the doctor notices the computer screen is glitching and leaves to get help. That's when Charlie sneaks in, dressed as a doctor. He locks Gretchen in a testing machine and starts filling it with flower pollen. Gretchen begins to panic. The doctor and nurse hear the commotion, but the door is locked. As her allergies get worse, Charlie demands she tell him where to find Horst, the man who killed Sarah. Gretchen tries to speak but can't breathe. Charlie opens the chamber, but she immediately pushes him into a desk. A fight breaks out, and they slam each other around the room. Charlie pulls out the gun, but Gretchen knocks him down and escapes. Charlie chases her out into the street. Just as he raises the gun, Gretchen is hit by a speeding car. Shocked, Charlie forces himself to go near her body and grabs her phone. Then he runs off, throwing his lab coat into a trash bin. Back at the hotel, he scrubs off the blood and quickly packs his bag. That night, he heads to the bus station and buys a ticket to Marseille. Soon, the CIA finds out about Gretchen's death. O'Brien asks Moore about it. Moore simply says it looks like one of their own agents was involved. Later that night, Charlie sits at a bar, drinking heavily. He's overwhelmed with guilt. He thinks he sees Sarah dancing, but when he looks closer, it's just someone who looks like her. Suddenly, he spots Henderson coming toward him. Panicked, Charlie pushes through the crowd and runs out into the streets. He dashes into another bar to hide, but Henderson follows him again. Charlie rushes into the bathroom and locks the door, but there's no window. With no way out, He comes back and sits down beside Henderson. Henderson tells Charlie he tracked him using Gretchen's phone. After a short conversation, Charlie shows Henderson a countdown on his phone, then runs. Seconds later, a bomb explodes in the bathroom. The bar goes into chaos, and Henderson loses sight of him. The phone tracker also stops working. The next morning, Charlie contacts Inquiline for help and leaves on a cargo plane to Turkey. In Istanbul, he visits a restaurant and sends a message to Inquiline. He notices a man's phone ringing and tries to go to him, but a woman steps in and tells him to check his own phone. Outside, the same woman approaches him again, this time revealing she's Inquiline. She already knows about Sarah's death. She tells Charlie to hide his hat and backpack inside a shopping bag. Then she instructs him to pretend he's shopping and meet her later at a garage. After a while, Charlie meets Inquiline again, and she drives him to her home. On the way, she tells him that she became a hacker 6 years ago after her husband died. He had worked as a CIA contact inside Russian intelligence. In fact, he was the original Inquiline, and he taught her everything she knows. The official report said he fell from a window, but she doesn't believe that. When they arrive at her place, Inquiline says this is the only home she's stayed in for more than 3 years. She's tired of always hiding. If the Russians ever find her, she has a gun ready to end things herself. Then they talk about the case. Horst is the leader who hires mercenaries for more. Lawrence is an arms dealer. Inquiline says she'll pretend to be a weapons seller to reach him. Lastly, there's Mishka. He travels a lot and posts everything online. They study his photos and spot a woman with him. A facial scan leads them to her Instagram, which confirms they're in Spain. Meanwhile, Caleb tells his team to track the terrorists so they can find Charlie. O'Brien has a meeting with Moore and warns him to stop running secret Black Ops missions without her approval. Moore says her old boss gave him the same warning, and he gave the same reply. He fully supports her. After the meeting, O'Brien gets into her car. Her assistant shows her a photo of Henderson in Spain, which proves Moore sent him. So O'Brien sends one of her own agents after Henderson. At the same time, Charlie and Inquiline use hotel security cameras to locate Mishka. Charlie heads to Madrid and checks into the same hotel. He finds out that Mishka likes to swim in a rooftop pool that connects 2 buildings. Henderson arrives in the area, tracking Charlie. The next day, Charlie builds a small device that he hides inside the hotel. Later, he follows Mishka to a bar, not knowing Henderson is nearby. At the bar, Charlie sees a man who seems familiar. That's when he realizes he's being followed. He whispers to Inquiline through his earpiece, and she scans the man's face. He's a CIA agent. She also spots Henderson on camera and tells Charlie to back off, but Charlie insists on continuing. When Mishka goes up to the rooftop pool, Charlie confronts him. He demands to know where Horst is. If Mishka doesn't talk, the pool will collapse. Mishka laughs it off and swims away, so Charlie presses a button. The glass pool begins to crack. Mishka swims faster, but it's too late. The glass shatters, and he falls to his death as water crashes down onto the street. Inquiline quickly warns Charlie that Henderson and the other agent are closing in. She gives him directions to escape. A chase begins, and Henderson almost catches him. Just then, the other CIA agent attacks Henderson. They fight inside the hotel laundry room, tossing each other around. Henderson slams the man's head into a washing machine. The agent pulls out a gun and shoots, but Henderson manages to take the gun and fire back. Charlie enters the room, unsure if he should help. Inquiline urges him to leave, and he listens. The next day, O'Brien brings Moore to her office and asks about Charlie. Moore says he's on time off after Sarah's death. She lets him go, but reveals she now has hotel footage. At the same time, Caleb's team studies the footage too. They realize Charlie wasn't working alone. After checking his encrypted messages, they find the name Inquiline. Digging deeper, they pull up the file of the original agent who used that name, and guess his wife has taken over the role. That night, Charlie and Inquiline agree to sleep beside each other for comfort, but they're woken up by loud bird screeches. On the security cameras, they see agents approaching. They quickly escape through a hidden tunnel in the wall. As they move through, Charlie spots a drone flying above. They sneak into another building and manage to get out of the area just before agents storm into Inquiline's house. Her computer is already set to erase all the data, so the agents find nothing. Charlie and Inquiline run along the beach until they reach her car. A drone spots them, and soon agents begin chasing them, shooting at them and even following them by boat. After a long and intense chase, the agents finally damage the car enough to stop it. Inquiline is badly hurt and dying. Charlie has no choice but to move her to the passenger seat and take the wheel. He keeps driving until he finally escapes the agents. Later, he parks the car in a garage and says a quiet goodbye to Inquiline with a kiss. The next day, Charlie contacts Lawrence. Pretending to be an arms dealer, he sets up a meeting. Then he buys new electronic gear and travels to Romania. In an old, empty building, Charlie records a video of himself and hacks into a security camera feed in Berlin. This tricks the CIA into thinking he's in Germany, so they send their team there. When Lawrence finally shows up for the meeting, he finds a ringing phone placed on a chair. Charlie speaks to him through the phone and tells him to open a nearby box. Inside, Lawrence sees several bombs. If he moves too quickly, they'll go off. As he stares at a photo of Sarah inside the box, Charlie appears from the shadows. He demands to know where Horst is and promises to deactivate the bombs if Lawrence cooperates. Lawrence explains that Horst works in Russian waters and usually gets deliveries at a seaport on the Baltic Sea. When Charlie asks how to contact Horst, Lawrence says he only takes coded messages sent by his own men. All the codes and contacts are stored on his phone, which Lawrence drops on the floor. Charlie picks up the phone and leaves. Moments later, he hears the bombs go off. Lawrence is dead. Soon after, the CIA finds out about Lawrence's death in Romania and realizes the footage they saw earlier was faked. Later, in a hotel in Russia, Charlie imagines Sarah beside him. He opens the gift she left and finds a sweet message from her hidden inside. In the morning, Charlie heads to the port and notices a suspicious vehicle. He sends a secret code meant for Horst's men and sees someone near the car check his phone. Charlie follows the man and takes photos of the boat he boards before leaving. Back at the hotel, Charlie buys some tools and looks up the boat's registration number. He traces it to a yacht and studies the sea routes that Horst might be using. The next day, Charlie approaches the boat, but someone sneaks up from behind and knocks him out, making him drop Sarah's puzzle. When he wakes up, he's on the yacht and finally face-to-face with Horst. Horst already found the bomb Charlie planted earlier. Horst points out that Charlie never kills anyone directly and thinks he won't have the courage to do it now either. He hands Charlie a gun and challenges him to shoot, but Charlie can't do it. He lowers the gun. Suddenly, the yacht starts turning sharply. The crew panics. Charlie calmly reveals that he hacked the yacht's systems. It's actually a CIA-controlled vessel. Since he helped design the yacht's security protocols, it was easy for him to take over and redirect it to Finland. Soon, the Finnish Navy and Interpol surround the yacht and arrest Horst and his men. Sometime later, O'Brien holds a press conference. She announces that all the corrupt agents who used the CIA for illegal operations have been captured. Henderson finds Charlie and tells him he's proud of what he did. Later, Charlie visits Sarah's grave. After saying goodbye, he returns home and finally takes the airplane, Sarah's birthday gift, for a ride. If you enjoyed this recap, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel.